Hi, it's Tara. I want to talk to you today about the flip side of giving, the flip side of gratitude practices where we talk about giving back. The other side of that is one that I think is often more challenging and requires a lot more courage, and that's how are you with asking for help? How are you with receiving help? Because asking for help when you need it puts you in a really vulnerable place, and a lot of people, once they feel uncomfortable with something, they back right away and avoid it altogether. What that does is really puts you in a position where you're limiting your resources, you're limiting the amount of learning that you can have, information that you can receive, people that you can connect with, that personally and professionally can help you get from where you are now to where you want to be. But even more than that, from a mental health perspective, especially with personal pain, if you're sitting there suffering by yourself, suffering alone, and you're not able to reach out for help, you're making it that much harder for you to get from the place that you are right now into a different place altogether. It really deepens that sense of despair and isolation that we know is so toxic, and that we know is so makes things feel so much bigger than they actually are. When you're able to kind of face something that makes you feel uncomfortable, which I think if you feel uncomfortable, that's always an opportunity to check into why and kind of meet that head on instead of running from it. Check in to see if it's because you feel uncomfortable with being vulnerable, or if it's because it's a pride issue. So if it's because you feel vulnerable, because in the past maybe you've reached out for help and you've been burned, somebody's used it against you or used it to power trip over you, don't let that stop you from really looking at the people in your life that might be safer to ask for help. And don't deny them also the opportunity to show up for you in your life and to be there for you. We live in North America, especially in this environment where we can have lots of connections, and they're mostly electronic, or they're social media, or they're really kind of at arm's length. We don't have our doors open anymore. People don't just drop by for coffee. So often people don't know if you're hurting. And so we are in this isolating kind of environment already, and we struggle. Everybody has bad days. Everybody has struggles and things that are going on in their life where we need human contact, human connection. And it's harder to find. It takes more effort these days than it has before, just because of the environment we live in. And so the worst thing that we can do really is just succumb to that environment and really feel like there's no way out for us. That's the worst possible thing we can do, because if you have established people in your life that care about you and that know you, they're not going to think you're needy, they're not going to think you're a whiner, they're not going to take advantage of you, and they would love to show up in your life in this way. There is a beautiful connection, a deepening of relationship that can happen when people have the courage to ask for help, when they just need support, when they need something practical, and they're able to vocalize that. It takes a lot of courage and humility to do that, but then that person shows up. We really have lost this impact and this human factor in our life where somebody shows up at the door with coffee or a meal or whatever it is that we need, and they love to give it to us. And it's in your face, picking up body language, picking up energy, really feeling that sincere connection between two people where one person's been vulnerable and another person has responded. We're missing that in so many areas of our life. And so I really encourage you, if you are suffering right now, if you are struggling, don't do this on your own. You don't have to make it this hard for yourself. I promise you that, if you reach out for help, you're gonna be able to get through what you're going through a whole lot easier. It doesn't have to be this hard. If you don't reach out for support, you might make your victory anyway, but there is not a bigger trophy or a bigger reward just because you did it on your own, and in fact, you won't have as many people to celebrate with you. You also miss out on the deepening of relationship that we're craving, that we're really missing right now. If pride is holding you back, the sense of, it's my problem, I'm just going to do it, I'm just going to get through it, I caution you there too, because you're missing on the opportunity for learning and for information from other people, for widening your circle and being able to establish yourself as part of a network of community of givers and receivers. Once you learn how to receive, and you learn how to be humble, and you learn how to get over yourself and be in that place, then you're a much better giver, because you can go out more freely. You are sensitive to how difficult that can be for a person, and you can partner up with people. You can walk alongside people in their difficult times and their struggles, and it's not the same as, you know, how many friends you have on Facebook or the people that you can text for support. That's not a real relationship. A real relationship is showing up and being vulnerable and having that be safe with each other. I encourage you to be good at both sides of giving and receiving. It's really important. It can change your relationships. It can remind you what it's like to feel human and to be there for one another. So that's my challenge to you. If you're struggling, look at who's in your life that really cares about you and don't be afraid to reach out to them. If you are not struggling, be that person that's really open and can give back that way. Until then, next time, I hope you're well and be good to each other.